Rounds the final corner for the final time to win Season 3 of LRC here in Mexico. Ramona is your new world champion.
Le pied avec Lrc qui attaque de nous voir nous.
The opportunity the centre's looking for. Oh my goodness!
Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. A fantastic performance.
Hamilton's going to try again. This time on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Season 4 of LRC. After a long old winter break, we are finally back, and we are here ready to get things underway with Tier 1 Pre-Season here in Bahrain. My name is Corliss, and I am joined, as always, by Spinata.
Welcome to the grand opening of the Season 4 Championship. This is just a pre-season race to see if everything is locked up and ready. We're here in Bahrain. It's time for the drivers to get their heads down and set the fastest laps of the day. We're here in Bahrain, and the drivers, well, some of the drivers, 4 drivers exactly, out on the track, battling it out for that pole position here.
Yeah, it is going to be an awesome first session. We're finally back with LRC and back in the F1 cars as well. Of course, you'll remember at the end of last season we had the F2 championship in the off season just to tide the drivers over, and we had some fantastic action there with Lamano asserting his dominance once again, and in the last 6 LRC titles, that's 3 drivers, 3 constructors, he has won all of them. And here he is on your screen right now, looking to, keep that record going, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Lamar, yes. He's going to have that run of confidence going into the season. He had, up until the mid-season, I would say, he had to battle for it, and then he just kept getting stronger and stronger until the end, and he has the home advantage today as obviously the driver from Bahrain. He's kind of stuck between the 2 Hasses, kind of a Hass sandwich right now, but he just wants to get familiar with the track. He wants to see what the track feels like. We see a Red Bull in the background going off, but you can see we go on board with him now, the Halo graphic. It's gonna be interesting to see what lap times he sets today. I'm gonna assume that they're gonna be the fastest of the day, but let's see if there's a battle for pole position today, which is gonna be really interesting to see. I hope there's a battle for pole position. The other home favorite here, Afari, is not participating, sadly, so we would have liked to see those two go at it time and time again, but Afari sadly not here, and we just have to look at Lamar. Yes.
So it's going to be very interesting once things get underway. Of course, this will be the first chance to actually try and get a gauge of the driver's pace in the new season. Obviously no points on the line today, but we're going to get the chance to have a look around, and the first driver to set a lap will be Marty. He's already crossed the line with a 1:28.6, which is 6 tenths quicker than German Beat, who was third, was second, drops to third now, as Grim Reaper goes second, just a tenth behind Marty in the Alfa Romeo, as the lap times start to flood in now. But yeah, with it being pre-season testing and all, we're just looking to get a feel for things here, and we'll be running you through exactly what's been changing over the winter. There has been quite a lot, as I'm sure you may have noticed just by looking at the driver list on the left hand side. Plenty of transfers, new drivers at new teams, all sorts of good stuff going on. And just quickly on that as well, we do unfortunately have some drivers who have forgotten to set their driver numbers in game, so that does mean we'll have a few names missing from the list. I'll try and work out who those are exactly once I get the chance, and we can try and work with it from there. But yeah, we have a exciting session coming up, as we already have 11 drivers with the lap time set, and still, after those first 11 times come in, it's still Marty who is at the top.
Yeah, there's 6 drivers within the 3/10 gap to Marty, who goes into the pits, presumably, to watch the other drivers, see what he could have done, better in some corners. But that was his first fuel around the track, and I'm guessing he'd be very happy with that time. That base time that he set in is the fastest so far. Fiat Bona ahead of Lrc, and Grim Reaper actually setting a time good enough for P6. Lrc setting a time enough to set P3. And yeah, it's looking to be a close one today. We're yet to see what Lamano can rifle in today. But for now, we can see 10 drivers within the 1 second mark, and usually that's a good sign. Shows the field is nice and competitive. Industry crossing the line now. Lamano, obviously. 7/10 is the gap between Marty and Lamano. He's just marking the lap timer with himself, with his name on there.
Yeah, with the move to McLaren, that is exactly the start that he would have been hoping for, of course. Switching from Ferrari last season, where he did indeed take both titles in pretty impressive fashion, you have to say. So fair play to him on that one, and he is, you have to say, already, even just a few minutes into this first session, looking pretty strong in his title defence hopes, with a pretty solid first lap there, 7/10 quicker than the next car, but I'm sure all the drivers will just be getting a feel for things now and getting settled in, and I'm sure the times will start to tumble as the session progresses onwards.
Yeah, obviously the home advantage working in his favor, 7/10 in his favor to be exact. And we see more drivers setting their times now. We had Bona and Lugi on their out laps right now. And then I'm guessing Pablo's on a lap right now, so we're gonna see what's next for him. But for now, it's pretty competitive in the from P2 to P10. Everybody basically within the 1 second gap. And I'm hoping to see some close racing in the race. Actually, let's not forget about the race. If they're this equal on pace, I think we're going to see a bang good race once they get off the line. And we see the Williams driving around. I think that's the Williams of Okram.
It is indeed.
Just making it around once again. I think he's going to go into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Not been able to keep an eye on his sector times, so it'll be surprising us when he does cross the line. Somebody who did also just cross the line there, he just thought was Pablo. He goes 13th quickest in the other Alfa Romeo. His teammate's still up there in second place. So we're going to look back to Okram now. It does look like he's going to stay out across the line. What will that time be? It will be good enough to take second place away from Marty and come just within a few tenths there of Lamano. So definitely close that gap up quite significantly already. And that's exactly what we were talking about there. Lamano is, of course, a very quick driver, but 7 tenths is a little bit misleading. We do have some other incredibly quick drivers in this series. And Okram is one of those, and he's showing that already today, with a very solid P2 time.
I'm surprised with Okram's lap time, 2:10s. Obviously, Lamano said it at the start of the session, so the grip levels might have improved just a bit, but he's managed to get that gap nice and down to 2:10s. And I'm guessing the four other drivers behind him now on their out laps are gonna hope to do the same. So let's keep an eye out for Marty, Fiat Bona, Lars, and Cooper. They're gonna be the four, maybe to surprise us, maybe improve their position by one bit, by another bit, and we'll see.
Yep, we do have quite a lot of people heading back out onto the track now, as you rightly pointed out. Everybody going to get their second lap soon. We might even see a few of them setting even more laps come the end of the session, if they're able to sneak back into the pits in time, get a change of tyres done. They might just about have time if they're quick enough. So we'll see. Could be a little bit of a last second dash to the flag to see if anyone can steal away pole position at the line. But yeah, I think we should first of all continue taking a look at some of the changes in terms of the grid this season. So as you already pointed out, We unfortunately don't have a Ferrari today, but he has made the switch from Mercedes, who finished second in the championship last season with a Ferrari's help. He has made the switch over to Alpine for this season, and I believe it will be partnering I Like Trains, who is currently running in P9. You can see he's also on an outlap right now. That is once he does join us, hopefully for next week in Australia.
Yeah, and I'm not very aware of the driver moves, but Cooper, I know that Cooper has decided to stay in Ferrari. We had Bona opting to join him for the season. Pablo made the switch from Alpine to Alfa Romeo, and it's going to be interesting to see. I see Leland as well making the change over to AlphaTauri. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting grid. They've been paired for a reason. To make the grid a little bit more balanced, and I think that's really working. As we can see, basically every driver is pretty much. We can see some of the drivers. We can see actually 7 different teams in the top 7. So I think the teams have been bang on basically. As Kvyat Bona improves his time up to P3.
Yeah, well, that's don't be fooled. That isn't actually Kvyat Bona. I think that is Shadow in the Mercedes.
The Shadow. Yeah.
I'm not too sure. We do unfortunately have a couple of drivers with the wrong names there. So Shadow, well, it's one of the Mercedes. We do have 2 Mercedes here today. Shadow and Vettel, both of them are with us right now, and both of them have very nicely and not at all confusingly got the wrong numbers on, so they have the wrong names being displayed. So we don't exactly know who's who.
2 Grim Reapers as well.
Yeah. Oh, big slide there. Out of 10, number 8 for the Mercedes, whichever one it was.
That was Vettel, I think.
Yeah, that was not great stuff, but whoever it was in this Mercedes is currently running P3 with a pretty solid time there, not too far off of Okram, as Maxcon now in the second Haas car jumps up to P10. I think he'll still be expecting to get a little bit better than that. I think we both had the pleasure of racing against him last season in tier number 2, and he was, safe to say, a pretty quick driver there, so I think he'll be expecting a little bit more than that. Maybe if he can get the tyres into better condition or whatnot, and might see him getting a little bit closer to his teammate Lrc, who is currently in 6th place. Meanwhile, Cooper has jumped up to P4, so nice luck by him.
Yeah, nice lap with for Cooper here. Obviously, being a Ferrari fan, he's going to be very reminiscent of Bahrain. He's going to want to do well. And I think he has done well for the time being. P4, 6 tenths off of Le Mans. That's not bad at all in my book. I think he's squeezing every bit of pace that he can out of that Ferrari car. His teammate disappointingly sits P13 only. And Marty as well. It's dropped down to P5, not as good as the start of the session, but obviously with the grip levels improving, some drivers are gonna rise to the occasion more than the others. So I think Okram has used that, and so has Shadow, I'm guessing, and Cooper, just to jump ahead of Marty. And Lars as well is gonna try to set a faster time. I'm sure he's not very happy with P6. I think he could do better for a driver of his caliber. And I think that we're going to see some improvement in the field, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe that this the Aston Martin currently running P7 is Aero. So that's one of the drivers that we can check off for actually knowing who that is. Of course, German beating the other Aston Martin. Aero is only reserving in this race. He will be driving full-time in Tier 2 alongside myself and Spinato. So you can join us on Sunday for our pre-season then. But yeah, he's making a cameo appearance in Tier 1 here. Can expect probably a few of those throughout the season from him. And Leland as well is also reserving for this race in the second AlphaTauri, currently rounding out the field at the back in P17. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see now. It's sort of in the quiet part of the session, but it's the calm before the storm really, because we're heading into the last 3 minutes now, and that is usually when we start to see all the times dropping down. I think Aero might just be the first to start a bit of a chain reaction here. Knock down the first domino as he exits the final corner now, opens the DRS, it's going to cross the line. Where does he go? He goes 5th fastest, so pretty solid improvement by him, but still not enough to challenge that top 4.
Yeah, and the top 4 is going to improve. They're only going to get faster. Lamano is already on course to go for that provisional pole. So is Okram in P2 here. I think he might be actually on a lap right now.
Yep.
So you can see him going through the S's right here. You can actually go on board him with him there, you see. Yeah, as he goes in turn 6, nice and tidy here. Actually, not turn 6, turn 8. And now into the tricky turns 9 and 10. He does well in traction zones. I think he is playing on controller, so he is well equipped to handle those traction zones. With traction control players actually getting a bit of an advantage over the no traction control players, because I don't know the exact science, but it's good to see him being so fast. And as he goes into the last 2 corners, I think he's on for a very good time here.
Well, I mean, he was definitely wide at a couple of the apexes, so we'll have to see how this time stacks up. Perhaps it's possible that he will just go for another run after this one if it's not good enough, but he's going to cross the line now, and no, never mind, it definitely was good enough, as he takes provisional pole position away from Lamano with a 1:27.759, so that's just over a tenth quicker. But here comes Lamano now. He's going to try and take that back. Is he going to be able to do it? No, not yet. I don't think that lap was particularly good from him. He definitely would have been on a lap there. That wasn't an out lap, so he's going to have to try and go again. If he abandoned that lap early enough, he'll probably have been able to save up enough battery. So we'll ride on board now. Can our reigning world champion do anything to take this first pole position of the season away from Akram?
I'm pretty sure he can. He's been doing well under pressure, Lamano, and this is just another occasion for him to shine and show that skill that he's been using for the past season. And I think he can make it count in those clutch situations, as he did in Mexico, as he did in basically every race of the last season. He's made it count for pole position, and I think he can definitely make it count once again. As he goes onto the straight, activates that DRS. I think he's on course right now, taking that wide line into turn 11 here, and I think through the weaving corners of turn 12, going into the last 2 corners. I think Lamano can set a time fast enough for pole position.
Yeah, this has looked like a very, very solid lap by the home favourite here, as he makes his way now. Only one more corner to go. If he can keep it even just tidy through here, and I think he'd be on course to maybe even take pole position, just about keeping it within the track limits as he heads to the line now. DRS open, this will be his last chance. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Lamano, the reigning world champion, crosses the line to take provisional pole position, and that is a time that will take some beating. As Marty there. Marty, I think, was actually on a lap and might have been able to improve if it wasn't for that, but he has looped it 360 out of turn 7 there, and I think that's a bit of the commentator's curse coming back from last season, so apologies for that one, Marty. Didn't mean to ruin your lap like that, but somebody who might still be going as Cooper now, he's backed off as well, so this might just be the finishing order unless anyone can say anything about that time from Lamano. I think German beats Exit in the final corner now with only a few seconds left, in fact the session's already over. German beat pulls into the pits. So we'll see, is there anybody else on a lap? Ludi crosses the line. Jarmin is still on a lap now, by the looks of things, as he makes his way towards the final corner now. He might just be the last person who can even try and take away that P1 pole position from Lamano out of the final turn now. It's going to need quite a significant improvement if he wants to do it, but what can he do? He can jump up to P12, that's all he can manage, and well, better than nothing from him, but that will mean that Lamano picks up where he left off, and in pre-season will be taking pole position here in Bahrain at his home track. Nicely done.
We've got some drivers that have fixed their driver numbers, which helps us to know who the people are.
Oh, goes for a little spin there.
Okay.
It's not going to help his tyres.
A little drift. Yes, he just didn't like the sponsor being there. Okay, yeah, there he is sideways.
Now, so his tyres are going to be pretty stone cold, which on those hard tyres is not going to be doing him any favours. For the first time in Season 4 in LRC, can hear the cars revving their engines. I hope we're not waiting for too long this time. Here we go, lights are coming on now. It's 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's go in LRC for the first round of Season 4, and immediately off the line you can see Lamano getting a terrible start there on those freezing cold hard tyres, losing positions already, and down, well, way down the field. Okram does exactly what he did last time and gets up into first place, as meanwhile you see one of the Aston Martins going off in the background, and the Haas of Lrc getting up into third place, and the other Mercedes of Vettel all the way up to P4 already, and now challenging Lrc to try and get into P3 around the outside of turn 4. Great start for both the Mercs. Meanwhile, Aero just behind trying to fend off from Lamano, who had an awful start on those hard tyres. They were freezing cold after he spun on the formation lap, and now he has a lot of work to do in this race to try and climb back up the order.
Yeah, that's same old from Lamano. He sometimes gets a race start wrong, but manages to climb up back to the top in the race. But that's not only for him, as we see Cooper had a bad start, also fighting on MaxCon. Speaking of whom, I think Cooper just went straight on, or was that Fiat Bona? But we see side by side now the Aston Martin and the McLarens.
I think that was Pablo. It might have just gone for a spin there at the back of the field. I saw a yellow flag out briefly. So he's dropped right down the order now. But looking back up the field, we did see some battles there, but Okram already cleared a huge gap to the rest of the field as they make their way around to end off this first lap of the race, and we can already see some battles starting to form in that midfield, with Lamano currently running in 6th place. He will be very quick compared to the guys around him, even with the tyre disadvantage. You would have to assume that he will be making up places in no time at all, as we now get the timing screens back available with us, and Pablo already with a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, that Red Bull went wide, but now they're single file in the main straight. The McLaren has a little look on the Aston Martin, and that's Lamano on Aero. Lamano takes a shorter line through the corner. With the hard, it's a bit harder to get that grip on the traction zone after turn 1. Obviously, he uses higher gears, but now he's going for it. He has the lower wings, shall I say, and he's almost past Aero. He's already past Aero by the end of turn 4. By the start of turn 4, Aero is helpless to Lamano's straight line speed.
And up ahead, that was one of the Mercedes going off. I think that's allowed Lrc through. That was Shadows, just ran wide through turn 7 and almost clipped the back. I think in fact there was contact between the two Mercs there going through turn 8 as Vettel overtakes his teammate after a fantastic start to the race, climbing all the way up to 3rd from 8th on the grid. So a brilliant start for him on the hards, showing Lamano how it's done. And Shadow with a little bit of a twitch there going through the S section, and that has cost him big time. He's dropped 2 places now, and he's going to be immediately vulnerable to Lamano behind him.
2 silver arrows with a bit of contact coming out of turn, I think that was turn 8. But now we see side by side, that's the Alpine and the Ferrari. I think that's Fiat Bona and Luigi. Luigi is ahead by turn 11, and now here comes the Mercedes German beat. German beat is side by side with him at the exit of turn 12. The Ferrari is ahead just for now, but German beat's going to be looking to switch that up into the last corner. He's already going side by side. He's trying to go side by side. He has a straight line speed advantage, and he's already ahead. And now that's the end of that battle, but there's a yellow flag. I think somebody might have spun. I think that was at the end of the field. But as we see now, there's the battle for top 3 right now. It's 3 cars within a second of each other, but here comes an Alpine on the Ferrari going into turn 1 right now.
Yeah, here they go into turn 1. It's 5 cars fighting it out for the bottom of the points-paying positions here. I think it's led by Jarman in the Red Bull. Oh, sorry, no, it's led by Luigi in the first of the Alpines, then the 2 Ferraris who are scrapping it out now. Cooper, after a terrible start to the race, dropped all the way down to the point where he's now racing against his teammate, as round the outside and the inside goes an Alpine and an Aston Martin on Fiat Bona. He's able to get one of them back on German beat there, who drops down to 14th now. Got some fantastic racing going on through the middle of the pack here, as Fiat Bona, well, he picked up a place, then lost a place, and then picked up another place, and it's all changing places here in the middle of the field as everybody tries to find some kind of order in this race, and it looks like this midfield battle is very evenly paced.
Look at Lamano, he's making moves into P4. He goes, it's side by side between the Mercedes and him through those sweeping turns in the last 2 turns, and then now the Mercedes is ahead, but Lamano is not eager to give that position back. They're side by side going to the last corner. Lamaez has the straight line speed advantage and the slipstream advantage, as the Mercedes, the second Mercedes of Feta, doesn't want to give his teammate the slipstream. As now DRS is on, and he will have this DRS advantage, so will Lamano. Now the Mercedes is pretty much helpless, and now Lamano gets the slipstream from his teammate, but look at him, he's coming back, going into turn 1 with the DRS. They're side by side under braking. He gives him the space. Lamar, yes, tries to keep it, but the Mercedes is ahead. Going into turn 4, the Mercedes is going to have DRS as well.
Meanwhile, up the road, there was a battle going on there between Lrc, who's trying to... Sorry, no, that was Vettel getting past Lrc. I think those two have been really scrapping it out there, and Vettel has managed to make the move up into P2. We didn't even get to catch that one. He was very eager there with the second DRS zone and making the move before he even made it to turn 4. So nicely done by him. Meanwhile, further down the field, there's battles going on everywhere, as I think there was a battle going on for P10. I think somebody spun. I think Aero might have spun. Yeah, he's gone off. You can see there. I think that must have been on the entry to turn 6. He's ran wide. You can see the gravel across his tyres, and he has dropped all the way down now to P13, so that's a huge shame for Aero. He was running up in the top 7 in this race, and now drops all the way down to behind his teammate in 13th, and he's going to have to take a few corners just to bring those tyres back to life as well. That is not ideal for the man in the Aston Martin at all, as the field is now starting to spread out a bit, and that's going to make it even harder for him to try and make up some of those places that he's just lost. Could be a very costly mistake for him.
Lamano's second stint is where he thinks he's going to shine anyway. He's down in P5, not where he wants to be, and he's trailing a bit to Shadow, and there's a Ferrari that goes wide. I think that's Cooper, with Luigi just, I Like Trains just behind him, who's actually going for the overtake. He's going to have DRS, and now here's Lrc with Shadow behind him. I think, is that Lrc? Yeah, that is Lrc. With Feta ahead of him, he wants to get ahead of him, but he can't just yet, and Shadow looks for a move. But he's gonna get kind of hindered by Lawrence's dirty air, and that's gonna open up a door for Lamano, who has the straight line speed. Aero pits, I guess for new tires or for a new wing, and now Cooper and I Like Trains are fighting it out as well.
Yeah, battles up and down the field here as everybody switching places, and there is that battle that you were talking about as the Alpine and the Ferrari go wheel to wheel through turn 4. Very close racing. Oh, too close, as into the wall goes the Alpine there. That's I Like Trains smashing into the Armco barrier and losing his front wing. Very lucky to still be in the race, I must say, as a little bit of a loss of traction there, I think, on his part on the exit of turn 4. Clipped the side of the Ferrari of Cooper, and that is just about his that's his day well and truly ruined now. Without any kind of safety car, that is going to be a pretty tough recovery for I Like Trains, and might even be battling Aero down at the back of the grid.
Very unlucky. That was going to be a big battle between the two of them. We see them scrapping before earlier, but it's all calmed down just a bit as Lars looks for that P2 once again. Lamar, yes, also looking... Oh, Shadow actually dropped down a few places, you can see. He dropped down, I think, 2 places.
He did.
As Maxcon and Lamar know, it did get past. I think Shadow might have done some kind of mistake, maybe ran wide a bit. But now it's Lars' game to play. Will he get that P2? I think he can manage it, but with Lamar, yes, just behind him, I think it's going to be quite a hard task for him to do. But he has DRS, he has got the slipstream, he has got the overtake. I think he can manage going into turn 4 now.
Yep, here he comes towards turn 4, but he doesn't seem to have the straight line speed. That seems to be the one thing that he's lacking against Vettel and the Mercedes ahead, because every time they get onto the straight, even with the DRS, Lrc is just not able to make that challenge, and that is really not helping him here, because now, look who's up right behind him. It's our defending world champion, Lamano, who is... eager, very eager I'm sure, to make amends for that terrible start to the race. He's already made his way back up to 4th, and he'll be looking to pick off some more places now with the 2 cars ahead of him, Lrc and Vettel. Maybe try and capitalise on a battle, as actually I think Vettel might have run a little bit wide there, and Lrc getting a little bit excited perhaps at the potential of an overtake, but again that Mercedes just has huge straight line speed, as these 3 now, well, he could throw a blanket over them, they're that close as they head in towards the final sector now, so this could be a very interesting battle down these 3 long straights coming up after this.
Yeah, Lamar, yes, was very close to the rear end of Lrc through the sweeping turns, but Lrc has the advantage as his rival Vettel doesn't have DRS, so he gets the better slipstream, which allows him to get some breathing space. But I sincerely hope it doesn't happen like what happened with Cooper and I Like Trains, unfortunately coming together after turn 4. But I think Lrc. Can manage the overtake. He's looking for that inside. Here he goes.
up the inside now, trying to make it work, but the better exit was going to go to Vettel there, and now another better exit is going to go to Lamano. Loris was compromised on the inside there, but I think Lamano's lost some time, and now in fact Loris, you can see up the road here, is going to try and make the move on the inside of turn 4 now as he goes wheel to wheel. This time they're keeping it clean through that part of the racetrack, and they're still side by side into the S's. Oh, contact there, and that has just tipped Loris out of the way, off the track, and Loris loses time, and Lamano goes deep now into turn 8, and that is going to almost invite Loris back up the inside, but no, Lamano is able to hold on and was very cleanly and nicely there able to sneak up the inside, just waiting for the almost inevitable contact between the two as they were racing so closely ahead of him, and that is a world champion's overtake right there. Very opportunistic and nicely done, and well recovered not to go careering into the back of Vettel into turn 8 as well.
Yeah, that was well kept from Loris as well. It's good that he didn't actually spin out with the contact. He actually kept it on the track and rejoined safely behind Lamano. As we see, the battle is still there. Okram is actually, while that battling has gone on, Okram has pulled out almost the 12-second lead over those, over the 3 battling behind him. A 15-second lead, shall I say. Okram has been setting fastest lap after fastest lap, but here comes Lamano on Vettel. He's going down the inside.
Going for it into turn 1. This is what Loris tried last lap, but Lamano's further alongside, and he's already ahead as they make their way through turn 2 and turn 3 now. So our championship winner from last season makes his way up into P2, but he's not going to get it unchallenged because Vettel, we saw that straight line speed in the Mercedes was almost enough there, even without DRS, to make the challenge, and he was almost able to get him back into turn 4, but no such luck for Vettel, at least not this time around, and he's going to have to try now to execute the very difficult task of staying on the back of Lamano for the rest of this lap if he wants any hope of reclaiming that P2 in this race, because otherwise might be what we've so often seen before with Lamano just disappearing off down the road. Although that said, he is going to have a right old challenge on to try and catch up to Okram if he wants any hope of winning his home race here.
Cooper's actually chasing Pablo. There's a fight for P11 between Cooper and Pablo. The Alfa Romeo he just got overtaken by Cooper, and then he's got to play his back once again. I think it happened going into turn 4 and then into the S's. They switched places under traction. Cooper, sadly enough, I think he was P4 P4 on the grid.
Maxon spins.
Oh, Maxon spun.
Spins into turn 13 there. Yeah, the second of the Haas cars going round, and that is not ideal at all. He was running quite well in this race. He's managed to, looks like, keep it out of the wall. No damage to the front wing at least, none that we can see. So he's up and running again here, but with now, I'd imagine, quite hot tyres. Might even be an incentive to make an early pit stop. We'll see if he does. No, that's probably a sensible call. A little bit too early for that just yet. But yeah, it must have just dropped it under traction. It's quite easy to do that, especially if you get on that curb on the inside of the long right-hander. And now Max Kahn is going to have a lot of work to do to try and make up some of those places that he's just lost.
Yeah, I was about to say that the Haas's were having a grand time. Obviously, Max Kahn making up positions on the race start, but unfortunately, it's all fallen down for him. And now Loris has to do all the fighting for the Haas team, as Lamano has gotten ahead of Vettel a few laps ago, and Loris has to make the most of his race situation. Lamano has already closed a 5 seconds to Okram, never mind. The interval board is lying to me there. But Okram is still maintaining that gap well, and I think his first pit stop is soon to come.
Yep, and that will be when the tide starts to shift into Lamano's favour. Will it be shifting enough to make up that 12-second difference? Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I would suspect that Okram is actually going to be going for a one-stop in this race. Very bold call, going from softs onto hards. And with that in mind, it wouldn't surprise me if Lamano decides that he's going to mirror that strategy and switch onto a set of soft tyres of his own come the end of this race. So we'll have to see how it shakes out. But he's going to need a serious pace advantage if he wants to have any hope of trying to get this race win. Meanwhile, further down the order, Cooper still right on the back of Pablo. He's not giving this one up as they head out of the final corner now. with the DRS. And yeah, you're right, Lrc further up the field, he's right onto the back of Vettel. We've got a lot of battles to keep an eye on here, but oh, look at that. That was Vettel taking Lrc all the way to the inside. Very aggressive defending there, and Vettel, with that defence, is going to be able to hold the position for now. I don't think Lrc will like that one too much, and he is right on the back of Vettel as they head in towards turn 8. Will he try a dive bomb up the inside? No. Thinks better of it. It's quite a risky place there, with it being such a tight corner to go for a move, even though it does look enticing, and I think Lrc puts his experience to use there, and decides that he's going to wait for it, because he does clearly have the pace advantage over that Mercedes. I'm not sure if the tyres have just dropped off of Vettel or what, but Lrc has got a supreme pace advantage and almost looking for a move into turn 11 there as they get very, very close. Lrc practically pushing him through that middle sector as they go towards the final sector now. Is everybody going to be able to keep it clean under traction? Yeah, they are. And Lrc, looking almost for an opportunistic move up the inside of turn 13. That would have been a really bold one, but thinks better of it, and now he's going to try and get the DRS towards turn 1 to try and make this move stick.
Yeah, Vettel, surprisingly enough, shifted right for Lrc to absolutely deny that opportunity. As Okram pits, actually, that's the first pit stop for Okram. Vettel kind of fakes a pit stop right there. But it's an interesting battle between these two, because Lrc has a pace advantage, but Vettel is just denying him in every opportunity that he can. You can see Lrc shifted line.
Trying to get the switch
and here
back.
comes Lrc.
He's got close though. He was alongside for a brief second, but it wasn't enough. And again, he's going to have the DRS this time, a much better exit by the looks of things. He's going to be alongside as they go into turn 4 on the outside. Vettel going to force him the long way around. They're neck and neck as they head out of the corner, practically banging wheels. We've seen this before as they go into turn 6 and 7. Roles reversed this time, and that means that Lrc is going to be able to get the move done on the inside. Nicely done by the Dutch driver, and I think that one has been a few laps in the making now, and he is up into P2 in this race.
Don't count Vettel out. His teammate is right behind him. Those two Mercedes are going to work together to absolutely beat Lrc, and I think that is going to be their goal. Don't count Vettel out. As he has the DRS, he has some of the straight line speed advantage, and Lrc, even with the dirty air, could actually manage to keep up with Vettel, and I think he can definitely outpace him once again without the dirty air. As we can see, somebody else who's having a battle is Max Con. No, that's Bablo and Cooper. Bablo is very close to Cooper. He was dropped down a few places this race.
Needs to have been fighting for the past few laps now. They keep swapping positions every time we look at them, but we have back onto the main street now. Here's the centre of the action once again. This fight for P2. It's P3 on the road, but P2 right now. Here comes Vettel with that massive straight line speed advantage. Sails past into turn 1, and he doesn't even need the braking zone to get it done. He's already ahead and back into P2. Is Lrc going to be able to get a good enough exit this time to try and counter it? Seems to be a little bit further back than he was last time, so it might have to be a bit of a dive if he wants to try and make the move again here. And Lrc not close enough. He's going to try and get a little bit better traction there, but not able to do so. And so Lrc, once again, he's had his work all undone there by that sheer straight line speed advantage that the Mercedes has. I don't know what wings Vettel's actually running, but clearly it's not very much. Must be running some kind of a Monza setup here in Bahrain, as he is absolutely rapid on the streets.
It's working for him though, as he's denying Lrc the overtake, and he's actually opening up the door for his teammate Shadow, who was also eager to get past Lrc, and I think the Silver Arrows can actually do some damage to the Hasses, as obviously Max Con spun, and Lrc is the single one still in for the podium fight, as these three seem to be pretty clear of P5. As Okram actually got pretty unlucky on his pit exit, got launched up right into the traffic, but he's opted for the medium, so if he can make those medium last for 17 laps, that is the question. But if it's Okram, I wouldn't doubt him. I think he can manage those tires well, as now he's 7/10 behind Jarman, and I think he's going to have DRS very soon. It's 3/10 right now.
Here comes the move, though, from the other Mercedes of Shadow. Is he going to have the same pace advantage that his teammate does? No, not quite, with Lrc having the DRS on the toe as well. As you can see, Okram further behind, going side by side with Jarman into turn 1. That huge tyre advantage and pace advantage as well means that he's going to get that one done nice and easily, keeps it clean, and our net race leader makes light work of the Red Bull there, although Jarman, he's not going to give it up that easily. He's going to fight it back into turn 4. Okram wouldn't have been expecting that. That wasn't in the script, was it? And Okram round the outside is just about able to make use of those medium tyres and fend off the position with better traction, and I think that will be him done and dusted up into P number 5 now on the road, and still should be net P1 in this race depending on how things go for Le Mans now.
Lawler still glued to the back of Feta, as now he's going to be looking for that move once again. I think he's going to go down the main straight, as obviously the main straight is the only time where he can make up on the Feta straight line speed. Any other time he just loses time, except for through the corners. But all the time he gains in the corners is just negated by this long straight, the back straights going into the main straight, and basically that's the only chance, the main straight, and turn 1 is basically his only chance to overtake Feta. But he's not going to be counting on that just yet. He's probably going to be looking more in his rear mirror, where Shadow is also eager to make a move. It's 3/10 between them now, and Shadow is eager to overtake.
As we can see here, just by riding on board with Lrc, he's got a slipstream and DRS wide open, and he barely even gained on the Mercedes ahead of him. That is just how quick that Mercedes of Vettel is in a straight line, with that very low downforce setup that is clearly paying dividends here, going for a very defensive strategy, and it's worked out quite nicely for him, although he is inadvertently holding up his teammate and preventing Shadow from making any moves on Lrc, because Lrc now has the tow as well. So depending on when these guys pit, it could shape out quite closely and quite differently, depending on if the undercut or the overcut is able to be made work, and which of those drivers will benefit. We'll have to wait and see, because when you get 3 drivers going into the pits this close together, it usually doesn't end up coming out in the same order. So we'll be in for some fireworks, I think, once that kicks off. But yeah, at the minute it's calming down a little, although as I say that, it's Pablo and Cooper. Who else? Still battling it out. This time Maxcon's getting involved now. They've managed to catch up to the back of the Haas driver, and Bablo with a huge dive bomb. That came out of nowhere into turn 4. Caught Maxcon off guard, and they're going to go wheel to wheel now. Banging tyre to side pod there, and Bablo is going to have to back out of that one. Yields through turn 6 and gets a bad exit now, as here comes the Ferrari of Cooper trying to make it work around the outside. These two have been fighting away all race long practically, and they're still going at it now, but Cooper will quite sensibly decide not to launch it up the inside into the double left-hander there, and he's going to try and get a better exit though, try and make the DRS work right onto the back of the Alfa Romeo after Bablo sent that massive dive bomb up the inside to try and take P10 away from Maxcon, although yeah, you have to say Maxcon defended it quite well. But meanwhile, still battles going on up the order, with Lrc and Vettel and Shadow all still somehow holding the same positions, with that aero advantage of Vettel at the lead of the train, effectively forming what is a DRS train behind them. But yeah, some great racing in the midfield there. What this is going to be the dive bomb, isn't it? Look at that for a move right up the inside, bangs tyres and almost gets it done. He's ahead at this point, but then Maxcon slings it round the outside. Really good racing between the two of them. Oh, I think this is actually the ultimate POV of the dive bomb. Indeed it is.
Oh yeah,
there it is again, just from the opposite side of things. That huge move, massive send. And,
yeah, that was a really good show of racing from Pablo. Dived it down the inside. You need guts to do that, and Pablo certainly has the guts. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him that well in the S's, but he kept it. He kept the position against Cooper. Good show of racing as Lrc kind of slides through turn 9 there. As obviously the hard runners will actually have to box, I think in 2 laps time or 3 laps time. So this is going to get exciting. Come on, no.
Guess who's still at it? Alfa versus Ferrari. It's 2 Italian brands going at it into turn 4 again. This time it's Cooper on the outside of Bablo on the inside. They're still wheel to wheel as they head into the S's. Cooper trying to make it work around the outside, and does so brilliantly. That was a really nice little move there by Cooper to slingshot that Ferrari car around the outside of the Alfa Romeo, and makes it work. And maybe now he'll be able to finally break the shackles that has been Bablo to him in this race, and try and deploy some of that pace that we saw him showing in qualifying. Meanwhile, Shadow is getting awfully close, and he's getting up the inside now into turn 1 on the inside of Lrc. They're going to go wheel to wheel through turn 2, and Lrc is going to try and squeeze him out over the curb there, and that is an incredibly Impressive defence from Lrc there, being very aggressive through turns 2 and 3, and I don't think Shadow will be best pleased with that one. He'll say that he was alongside, Lrc will say that he was ahead. Well, maybe the stewards will have to have a look at that one, but I'd say racing incident there, and these guys will no doubt keep fighting this one out all the way until the pit stops, as Shadow finally getting the chance to try and make the move but not able to make it work. And I think Lrc, you get the sense that he knows that he needs to try and hold on to this position.
Yeah, Lrc lost DRS momentarily there. So all that battling between Shadow and Lrc
And here comes
is a
Shadow
disadvantage
again.
for him. And here comes Shadow once again on Lrc, running the low wings, and he goes round the outside in turn 11, or tries to go round the outside, shall I say. Lrc is saying no to that move, and he's going to keep that for another lap. If he can manage to keep that for another lap, because he's lost DRS to Feta, and Shadow's looking ever closer and more racy towards the two of them. So, and now Okram.
Oh,
And here he goes, side by
Okram's
side,
catching up.
into the last turn. He goes down the inside, as Okram is also going to join in on the fun, as Lrc is still ahead.
I think he's
but
going to pit. No, they
Shadow
both
has
pit.
DRS.
Oh, Lrc has just been done there. I think
Oh,
Lrc had
Lord.
to back off. Lrc backed off because he knew he was coming into the pits, but that has allowed the Mercedes of Shadow to capitalise by coming into the pits himself
Well, that's the
and has
quicker pit
effectively
stop.
jumped it. So let's see, it's going to be a race of the fastest pit stops here. You can see, there goes the Mercedes, Lrc gets led out, and the Mercedes will just about stay ahead. So that is position done and dusted, and that should be Shadow now, up ahead of Lrc and into what will be net P4 in this race. But Lrc is
done and dusted.
yeah, definitely not done and
Because here
dusted
comes
at all.
Lrc.
Because Lrc straight out of the pits, of course, both of them on freezing cold tyres, but that's not going to stop them from battling, because here comes Lrc now. He's got the DRS, he's going to try and make it work on the inside of turn 4, and wide there you can see the Mercedes of Shadow with no grip on those cold medium tyres, and Lrc makes the move and makes it nicely. Meanwhile, Luigi, I think, has crashed out somewhere. If we try and look around, I'm not sure where exactly that's been. Somewhere in Sector 1, Luigi's out of the
Yellow
race.
flag.
And meanwhile, Feta and Okram are getting very close here. Okram, our net race leader, is caught right up to the back of the Mercedes, who is, in theory, net P3 in this race, but we'll have to see where this shakes out now, because he has gone a lap longer. And here comes our net race leader now, decides to back out. He's going to take the DRS, probably a wise decision there. Going to use the DRS to his advantage down the start-finish straight. Will that Mercedes come to the pits? Nope, he'll disconnect. He'll DC behind.
Okay.
And, well, nice easy move there for Okram, but don't forget this is Feta with the very low aero setup, so he's just going to drive straight back up the inside, cuts across Okram, and makes the move stick to get back into P1. Nicely done.
Disconnects. And he comes back over
Incredible.
again. Into
Okram's not
turn
giving
1.
up, though. Into turn 4. Is he going to be close enough? No. That straight line speed of Feta in the Mercedes is really hampering Okram here. This is the moment where he needs to have pace in this race if he wants to make sure that he is safely going to be ahead of Lamano once the pit stops are done. And he is getting held up by a Mercedes on very worn hard tyres. That is not what he was looking for at all. Because Okram, he's had his fair share of bad luck that has cost him race wins in the previous season. He will not be wanting any more of that today, but no, there is the bad luck. Right as I say it, commentator's chaos strikes again. I can't believe I keep doing this. Okram gets on the curb, and, well, it's luckily not been too bad for him. He's only lost a few seconds, but that is not ideal at all, because that could be a crucial few seconds once these pit stops shake out.
Those fastest laps are going to be crucial to Okram. He's going to have to keep that gap to Lamano, otherwise that's going to just cost him in the race. And plus, Okram's not even going to get DRS from Feta right now, which is going to even cost him more time, as Feta's probably going to go into the pits right now for the soft tyre, which is going to be very, very aggressive towards the end of the race. But that's what we've seen from Feta. Very, very aggressive racing from him. And he goes on to the medium tyres. He's opting for that. And Lamano set the fastest lap. Even more bad news for Okram. Hot tyres and his rival getting even quicker, which is very, very unlucky for Okram.
Well, now getting a twitch on there through turn 2, but on those medium tyres, he has decided to cover off Okram. He will be on much fresher medium tyres than Okram come the end of this race, so we'll have to see if that offset is going to be enough for Lamano to try and switch on the afterburners, as we've seen him do so many times before, and try and hunt down Okram for the win of his home race here. It could be a very interesting final.
The two
End the race.
Mercedes.
Meanwhile, the two Mercs going wheel to wheel. I think they were for a second into turn 4, and in fact Shadow has made the move stick and gone ahead of his teammate on cold tyres. Vettel just coming out of the pits, and he has lost the position to his teammate now. Shadow up into P3. Nicely done.
Those gloves off for the solar arrows, and look who's making a comeback. Here's Lrc once again joining in on the fun. You can't separate these three, and now Fete is going to be looking for a position off his teammate, and Lrc is going to try to get an advantage over the two Mercedes. It's going to be gloves off for all of these drivers. The Mercs, no team orders for the Mercedes, and the Lrc is going to have no limitations between the two of them. He's been fighting them for so long. It's time you finally made it stick.
Yep, he's going to have to try and make it work one more time here. We'll see if he really does have the pace advantage or not on them soon enough. Because in that first stint, it looked like towards the end at least, he was dropping off on pace, and probably made quite a wise call to go for a little bit of an undercut there, although that said, hasn't made him any positions, and in fact has lost him one overall. So as they head back towards turn 1, we finally seem to have entered a little bit of a more calm period in this race, although that said, Cooper is still hunting down Maxcon here, this time for P9 in the race now. In that Ferrari, once again, we've seen Cooper producing a lot of action in this race, and might just be up for some more just yet.
And you know what I've just seen? Look at Lamar Yes's penalties. 3-second time penalty for Lamar Yes. That's going to be a game changer, but here comes Cooper down the inside on the Haas, makes the move stick. It's not Pablo who's racing anymore. He's not getting that kind of defense, but it's close, and Cooper gets ahead as the Haas doesn't flick open the rear wing, and it's a pretty easy move for Cooper, although Maxcon looks pretty racy as now Cooper does not have above 10% ERS, and he's going to be a sit and duck in basically on the main straight. He's not going to have DRS, he's not going to have the overtakes to help him. He's going to be a sitting duck on the main straight, which leaves the door open to Maxcon to advance and move up into the race. As they go through turn 10 now, the DRS flicks open for Maxcon, and here he comes towards Cooper.
Yep, he's going to have to, I think, wait a little bit longer, probably until the main straight if he wants to make a serious attack. That short little blast of DRS down the back straight, usually not enough to make up any places, and won't be changing that here. So Maxcon will have to try and keep it tidy through the final sector of the lap here, and just use that slipstream and that ERS advantage to good effect here, as they are now into the last 10 laps of the race. And meanwhile, somebody who's making a move already perhaps is Lrc with the DRS now. He's caught up to the back of Vettel in the Mercedes, but once again, same old story. This time it's for P4, as the Mercedes just has that huge straight line speed advantage, and meanwhile further behind them it's the AlphaTauri perhaps battling German beating the Aston Martin. We haven't really seen too much of these two in this race, but they're putting on a show now as they go now fighting for P7, with German beat defending the inside. Perhaps he's going to try and make it work around the outside. He's not quite close enough, and German beat puts up a solid defence there, and he's going to hold on to the position through turn 7.
So Vettel doing that shuffling right to deny his opponent, and he has done just that. German beat is shuffled right, and that's denied perhaps of a move into turn 4, but he's certainly not given up yet. He's going to have the DRS going into turn 11, and he's going to be no short of pace. I think he's got the tire advantage. I think he's pitted onto the new hards, or he's waiting to go onto the softs. In which case, it's really impressive that he's still going for moves on 21 lap-old hards. But let's see what perhaps has in store for German beat. I think we're going to see more of these two just yet.
But here comes
Lrc is actually getting close.
He's going to be the first one to go for a move. He's side by side with Vettel down the straight here, and will he finally be able to overcome the straight line speed advantage as they go into turn 1? Under braking, Lrc goes later on the brakes, makes the move stick, but Vettel, we know what that straight line speed is going to be like. The second that DRS opens, he's going to be hounding Lrc towards turn 4, and here he goes now.
Lrc did get the DRS.
Yep, they're side by side though still. The Mercedes doesn't care, because here he comes round the outside now, still just about keeping it on the track as they go wheel to wheel into the S's. Lrc with the inside line is able to just about make it work. Will there be a dive up the inside into turn 8? No. So Lrc finally able to get ahead of Vettel, but something just tells me that this battle is far from done just yet.
It's never done between these two. Vettel's straight line speed is unbeatable today, and that's often Lrc to be a bit more careful. Is going through the corners. He's gonna want Vettel to get really not affected by the dirty air. As through the corners, Vettel is helpless against Lrc. But down the straight line speed, it's down the main straight, it's completely the opposite. Vettel's gonna have the DRS, and I think Vettel's gonna be alongside Lrc into turn 1. But we're yet to see that, as now there's also a battle for P7 brewing between 3 cars. We're gonna take a look at that, but now Vettel is on course to overtake Lrc now into turn 1 once again.
Let's see, right on board now, and see what that straight line speed advantage is like in the Mercedes. It is enormous as he sails past once again, and you can see in the mirrors there he's already clearing ahead of Lrc by the time they make it into the braking zone of turn 1. And Lrc is surely going to get a bit of a better exit there. It wasn't particularly tidy from the Mercedes. He's going to try and go for it on the inside now as they go underneath the timing screens into turn 4. And Lrc with a fantastic move there, very ballsy to go up the inside like that one. The Mercedes of Vettel took him all the way, almost off the track, and Lrc said, you know what, I'm still going to make it work anyway. Beautifully done by him. That was a great move.
Lrc got pushed, but he said that's not stopping him. Lrc got past, and Vettel is going to be right alongside him once again. We're going to see the exact same,
and that's going to allow Vettel to get straight alongside. And, straight alongside and straight ahead. He didn't even have to make the move. That was a mistake from Lrc, and that has cost him huge there, as now all of his good work has become undone once again, and he is now going to have to close up to the back of that Mercedes through the corners, and this battle will continue on for, I think, probably the rest of this race, as now Lrc will be a little bit further back here, so it might take him a lap or two just to try and recoup, as Wellen picked up another penalty. But speaking of penalties, you were trying to say earlier before all of this fighting kicked off, Lamauno does indeed have a 3-second time penalty, which Okram does not, so that could be a big help in this race if it does get close towards the end.
Yeah, that's going to be a big major role in the race. Considering this is pre-season. Yeah, that was
whoa. With massive
and
DC.
Lrc has gone past.
Yeah,
2 seconds separating them.
Yeah, Lrc has just gotten straight past and straight into P4. That's a huge shame for Vettel, you know. That was, we've just been robbed of our battle. You can't help but think through internet connection issues, and that's a huge shame. We were looking for a fantastic fight for P4 to win this race, and be it Codemasters or an internet supplier, somebody's decided otherwise, so we'll have to see if Vettel now can really try and catch up. But yeah, you're right on that one. Cooper, guess who, once again getting involved in the fight in here, and he's going to have to try and defend from Maxcon now, who's finally caught back up to him and might just be close enough to try and make a move. As now it is a 3-way battle, perhaps Cooper and Maxcon all fighting it out for P8, 9 and 10, and Cooper the only one of those drivers without a penalty.
Yeah, Cooper has the advantage, but Cooper is still going to be, I think he's still not going to back down from a little racing. I think from a little fighting. He's got the DRS swing open, and you can see Maxcon looking for a bit of a move there, but there was no move for him. As perhaps they're going to be defending valiantly against these two. Kind of a repeat that we've seen between the two Mercedes and one of the Haas. Now it's one AlphaTauri, one of the Ferrari, and the second Haas. Once again trying to make moves in the race. As we see, perhaps quite unlucky on the main straight with both of his competitors having DRS. But he does not have the ERS, and so doesn't Cooper. Cooper does not have enough ERS as well to make that overtake.
But with the DRS,
as Maxcon's probably gonna. Yeah, he does have DRS, and he goes down the inside now into turn 1. He's made that move already, and now who's side by side? That's the Haas of Maxcon. Already makes that move before turn 2, and now they both have the advantage once again. Cooper and I think no, Cooper doesn't have the advantage because Cooper already overtook before the DRS line. But now the other two cars are now going to be chasing him. Now he is the main target for the two cars behind him, and they're surely going to be looking up to that challenge.
Yeah, that was some great action into turn one there with, well, great depending on your point of view. If you're perhaps, then you're probably not going to think that that was great action at all, because he's just lost 2 places, and right before that happened he picked up another penalty, so he's now on 6 seconds, and he's going to have quite a lot of work to do if he wants to get either of those positions back in this race. Well, depending on how the penalties shake out for Maxcon and Cooper ahead of him. I'll have to see, but I think those two, or even the 3 of them, despite the penalties... Oh, and spin! That was a spin for Cooper. That was Cooper who's just spun around right in front of them, losing traction through turn 11 and into turn 12, and Cooper, oh, that's a big shame for him there. We've seen a few mistakes from certain drivers in this race, and Cooper is another one, the next in line to have a pre-season woe there, losing out under traction on those hard tyres that just don't offer all that much grip, and the only driver who didn't have a penalty in that bunch is now going to be shaken all the way back to P10. Although with that said, maybe he can try and make use of that lack of penalties to try and catch back up to them, but might be quite a tall order for him now.
Yeah, unlucky for Cooper. He was looking very racy. As he spun, Pablo got ever closer to him, but now the field has calmed down just a bit. But as I say, that perhaps is looking for a move on MaxCon with Cooper out of the fight. It's going to be between these two to keep us entertained. So I think perhaps running the number 13 against MaxCon.
Switch for the dive up to the inside. Is he going to be able to make it work perhaps there? No, that was getting a little bit, probably just trying to throw the Haas of MaxCon off there, trying to get him off his game, but MaxCon stays resilient, stays strong, and makes his braking zone without too much issue, and able to hold on for now. But yeah, these two I think will be fighting this one out to the end of the race, even if it doesn't end up being for position. I think just for the sake of having some good racing, these two will be going at it, and you can see, look how much better the exit was for perhaps through turn 11. You might even be able to go for a move here into turn 13. He had a look for it up the inside, but didn't see quite enough of a gap to feel confident to send it fully up the inside, and probably sensible that he didn't, because he's going to have the DRS now to try and make the move work down the main street.
You can see it's top 6 mediums, and basically 7th through 12th is hard. So the mediums have played a better part. The hard medium strategy has worked out better for the most of the drivers, but you can see perhaps not still using those hards to good use, as now we can see him closing up on the Haas. He goes through all of the gears, gear 7 and now gear 8. He has a look around the outside, but thinks better of it. Maybe another corner would be better. Maybe down the main straight once again, as you can see MaxCon doesn't have enough ERS. But if you look on the steering wheel of perhaps, he also doesn't have enough ERS to make that overtake. But he's certainly not going to back down.
Yeah, he's going to give it everything, even if it might end up just being for pride, due to MaxCon having 3 seconds less penalties in this race. And you can't discount Cooper, who's actually closing up to the back of them, and Cooper might even, in all of this, be able to snatch P9 away from perhaps here if he's not careful. In fact, he's already, the timing screens are a little bit variable, but it seems like Cooper is already well within that 6-second window, so if he can keep it clean to the end now, then he might just be able to make himself up another little position there at the end, which maybe will be some consolidation for him after that I'm sure very frustrating spin. And meanwhile, somebody who we'd almost forgotten about in this race, Vettel, has been closing up a little bit to Lrc, but doesn't look like now on lap 28 of 29 it's going to be anything like enough to try and make any moves here for P4, or at least not without any mistakes from Lrc, which, you know, could always happen. We've seen plenty of mistakes from drivers here as they get used to the feel of league racing again, the feel of these cars, and who knows, maybe we'll see some last lap action, but for the time being it will be perhaps, and MaxCon again providing us with the closest entertainment as we head into the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, second to last lap, and someone is wishing this was the start of the real season. Zakram, he's managed perfectly with those mediums, and he's setting consistent lap times, which not allow Lemar, yes, to get close enough to him, which is gonna place him in the top spot for the race lead, as Lemar now is pretty much helpless with that 3-second time penalty. Shadow also pretty much looks set in that P3, as Lrc is 6 seconds behind, more like 9 seconds behind with a 3-second time penalty. But Feta has already closed up a second to Lrc, and he's gonna be looking to be elbows out. Never mind, the interval board lied to me once again. It's 2.2 seconds between the two of them, as Akram goes into the final lap, leading the race. With his biggest rival just behind him. It's 5 seconds between Lemar, yes, and Akram. And yeah, Akram has really managed well with this race. Lemar, no, not the start that he wants in the preseason. He always wants to hit the ground running, but obviously he can't have it all. But still a very good result, P2. Only Lemar, yes, can be disappointed with P2 in my opinion.
Yep, yeah, I'm sure he will be. Sure, he'll find a way to be disappointed after that one. And to be honest, I think if he was going to be disappointed, it'd be for that terrible start that has probably been what's put him in this position. But the man who started alongside him has been able to capitalise beautifully. Starting on those soft tyres has worked wonders here for Akram, who has made the soft to medium strategy work and will cross the line to win the first race of Season 4 here in Bahrain, with the pre-season victory going to Akram in the Williams. Lamano will take a solid P2, and Shadow will eventually, after quite a long pause, bring it home for P3 in the Mercedes ahead of Lrc and Feta behind. Although speaking of Lrc and Feta, they're not done yet. Somehow they've managed to find a way on the final lap into the last turn. Who's going to be able to come out of this one ahead? It's going to be a race to the line here as we go, with Feta and Lrc. DRS opens for Feta to the line, and Lrc just about stays ahead, but on the penalties, Feta is going to get ahead. Whoa, what an end!
800ths of a second separating the two of them. Lrc, sadly enough, with the time penalties, couldn't keep ahead. But yes, it was very racy towards the end of the line. Feta managed to get ahead, which is a very good result for the Silver Arrows. It's 3rd and 4th, just like in real life Bahrain. Shadow gets a podium in the preseason, and I think that's gonna be his boost of confidence for the actual season. Let's see the Haas finishing the race in style. We see perhaps Bablo and Fiat Bona all crossing the line, as that's going to round out the preseason race for Tier 1.
Yeah, beautiful drive there by Akram in the Williams. You have to say, well, the best drives are sometimes the ones that result in you seeing the least action from a driver. We barely saw Akram in this race, but I think that's a sign that he has done his job well, and I think a fantastic drive by him. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that one to finally break the curse that was starting to form at the end of last season and get that one out of the way and behind him before Season 4 kicks off properly in a week's time. That has been, I think, a fantastic little teaser there for what we can expect when the season does get underway properly. And yeah, some really good racing between a lot of the drivers there, and putting on a fantastic show at Bahrain, as the track so often does.